Welcome to the 2025 Practical Web Design course. Throughout this course, you'll be taking your beginner web design and UI/UX design knowledge and taking it to new heights by learning while creating a full responsive landing page design. In this course, we'll be covering visual design principles like visual hierarchy, color selection, contrast, alignment, typography, and negative space. We'll also cover technical skills in relation to Figma. We'll also see how to manage your Figma project and how to make use of variables, styles, and components to create scalable and reusable designs. So if you're ready to get out of being a beginner web designer, this course is for you, as by the end of it, you'll have the necessary understanding and skills to create visually appealing and user-friendly web designs. I'm your instructor, Ebenezer Daniel. I have over 7 years of experience in web design and development, and in this course, I'm going to be sharing that experience with you. Looking forward to seeing you at the first video. Before we actually start working on the actual website, I just wanted to make some things clear. The first thing is that this is the Figma file. I'm going to be trying to share the Figma file for you. I'm going to be sharing the link actually. Also, this is the name of the brand. It's called Afterwise, which is an actual brand, a company, a website. So it specializes in digital identity safety. And we're going to be discussing more about it as we build the website. Also, this is the logo. You can see it's highlighted in purple, meaning I already created a component for it. Also, you can find every asset you need in this Figma file. Just go there and I'll have probably a separate page for assets like images and stuff like that. I just want you to take that and like work on the design as I'm doing it. So you want to practice by redoing what I'm doing. Or maybe experiment even more and try your own stuff. So that's all I wanted to tell you. I just want to make some elements clear here. We're going to be starting in the next video, the web design. So we're going to be starting the design here with the navbar. So before that, let's just discuss about the page structure here. You can see like I created a new page called design, and this is where we actually we're going to be creating all the designs here. I'm going to rename it to design spruler. Then I'm going to go to frames. I just clicked F on my keyboard, frames, desktop here. This is the default desktop layout for Figma. And it is a 1440 by 1024 pixel frame. Okay, so we're going to call this landing page, and this will be the desktop variation. So this name convention I like, where I separate basically the names with a hyphen and variations with 2 hyphens. So that you can use whatever naming convention you like, but I'm going to be using this throughout the course. So let's start working on the navbar. Where do we start actually? Very simple. We have to start from the identity. So a navbar has 3 sections, has 3 primary sections. The first one being the identity, which is the logo and the name. The second one being the links, and the third one being the call to actions. So let's just start from the identity here. An identity is composed of basically a logo and a name. So first we have to go to assets here, created in this file, and I'm just going to drag this over here. You can see I have this available because I've already created a component from it. So here I have this asset, which is the logo, and I'm just going to click here and write the name. The name would be Afterwise, and this would be basically just 16 pixels. 16 pixels is going to be semi-bold, and it's going to be Inter. Will be the primary font, which we'll be using all throughout the website with some accent fonts. Probably we're going to be using instrument serif. Now we have some color decisions. This is our primary color right here. Actually, you can see it doesn't adhere to minimum contrasting lows here. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be selecting the darker one in this case. So now you can see the contrast check approves. Okay, so now since we have this font style, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here and I'm going to create a new font style for it. It's going to be basically text regular. So it's going to be a regular text. It's the medium size, 16 pixels. I will call it the medium size. So MD SB for semi-bold. And it's going to be a sans serif font, right? So it's going to be sans serif. So I'm going to go sans MDSB. Okay, sans MDSB, sans serif, medium sized and semi-bold. Okay, since we have that, I'm going to go over to the brand here and I'm going to create this here text. So sans serif, followed by medium, medium sized, yeah, medium, and semi-bold here. So I'm going to give it this variation here, the style. Now I'm just going to have it in a container. I'm going to give it also layouts, obviously, then sort of 2-gap 64 by 64 here. There's going to be text styles. And I'm just going to have it under the brand here. And I'm actually going to use this page a whole lot more effectively. And I'm going to say brand and system, right? So this is the design system right here, where we're going to be having some fonts. Okay, so I would give this a white fill here, and the text itself would be black. Okay, good progress here. One extra thing here is we are using 2 colors here, right? So we are using a couple of colors actually. So let's actually save the colors. This will be the regular black color. So I'm just gonna call this black. So it's full black. This is gonna be the brand color, but it's gonna be a darker brand. So I'm just gonna call it blue, and on the darker side, which is like around 200. So 900 is the lightest, 100 is the darkest, and 200 is more on the darker side, right? So here we're gonna have this. So again, we're gonna have the whites here, since this full whites. And yeah, we're gonna go back to brand and system, and this is how we're gonna be doing it. We're not gonna be setting the colors and font styles right away. We're gonna be, as we're creating the design, we're gonna be adding them one by one. So I think that's a more effective way to doing it. You're free to experiment with which was whatever way you think is better. Okay, so next up here, we would have to create some rectangles, right? So I'm gonna call this, have this 64 by 64, and this we're gonna have one of the colors which we just created in our library here. Sorry, I don't have internet on for some reason, so it's not loading. But we're gonna have a frame here. Add also layout for it. Basically then the alt layout I'm gonna have a 64 by 64. Okay, still not loading for some reason. And I'm gonna have to call this colors. So this will be our color selections. So obviously we have 3 colors already, and I'm gonna put this sideways, top down here. Okay, so now we can go here in the libraries. Okay, maybe didn't save it. So variables. Yeah, we're just gonna give it this color for now, and I'm gonna apply it when it loads. Yeah, I'm gonna apply that when it loads. For now, we're just gonna give it its regular colors. And this one would be white. Okay, so obviously since we can't really see this, I'm gonna give it a stroke. So these are our current selections. Just to make these look a bit nicer, I'm gonna give it some corner radius here. And obviously this would have been nice if we had this working. let's just see it's black. Okay, so it is there. It's just not loading. We're gonna try that again later. So here we have the identity and the logo. So now you can see that they're not in proportion. This is too big. So basically what we're going to be doing is going to take this down to a height of 16 or actually 24. And now we're going to take this and now this is much more proportional. And then to group them, I'm going to have it at 8 pixel gap. I'm going to center line them to each other. And actually I'm going to decrease the gap to 6 pixels here. I'm going to call this frame identity. Okay, we have the identity section here. Then we're going to have our links, right? So the first link would be home here. So you always need a home link just to indicate for the where the user is currently at the page, right? So at the website. So a home link is studied to have better UX effects. So basically, we're going to have a home. And this home will not actually be the same style as this. Instead, it's going to be a bit smaller, 16 pixels. And we're going to add this here, sans small semi-bold. Yeah, okay. The reason I'm making this semi-bold, by the way, is because basically this is the currently selected link. So we're currently on the landing page. So obviously this should be the selected one, right? So I'm going to make it semi-bold just to give it some distinction. And here, for example, this will be for the about link. So for the about link, I'm going to go 14 pixels again, but this time I'm going to make it just regular. And this would be our sans small but regular or RG. Now we have to go to the brand back here. And we have to, not here, rather, let's go down to the font styles and just duplicate this twice. Paste them on top of each other. And this will be semi-bold 14. So this one will be just small. And this one will be the regular one, right? So it's going to be small and regular. Small and regular. I'm going to take these two, going to align them side by side here. Quite simply, we are having a more complete font style. Okay, we have everything ready here. Now we can just move on and just write the other links, so pricing, and the final one will be a demo. So these are the links we're going to be using. And we're going to be taking everything here instead, except the home button, which is the enabled one. And we're going to be giving it a more of a grayish color. I think around here is good. I'm going to take this, we're going to give it a color here. This is going to be a gray color, which is on the darker side. So around 300. And let's just give it the value here. Okay, let's just copy this. Let's go back to the brand and we're going to have a new one, right? So let's just have this one. So actually, let's rename this. This is going to be black. It's going to be our blue, I think, right? So blue around 200 or 300. I forget its name. It's going to be blue 200. Okay, we're right. It's going to be white and it's going to be gray. It's 300. Obviously, you have to give it that. And we have to remove the stroke. Let's just move this bit down just for not to collide here. Okay, yeah. So now this will be the color for low contrasting, low visual hierarchy elements. So you don't want everything to be full black. That would take too much of the visual hierarchy, meaning all of the elements would probably look the same and will have the same level of importance. But by just adding a gray here, you get a higher level of importance for some elements and the lower one for the others. For example, here we want the user to know that they're currently on the home page. So the selected and the current page would be of a higher level of visual hierarchy. So we're going to make it full black. We're going to call this links or nav links. 36 pixel gap here. Just make sure that there is enough gap in between them. We can actually go around 40, which is fine. So now we have the links, we have the identity, and finally we need we're gonna be needing our call to actions, right? So our call to actions here, we're gonna be needing a login and a sign up call to action buttons. So I'm just gonna call Shift A here, 32 by 16, 0 gap. Okay, I'm gonna give it quite a subtle stroke here. You don't want borders to be high visual hierarchy elements. Borders are meant to be just supporting, and you want them to create separation between the inner and outer parts. So you don't want them to stand out as much. So that's why I'm giving it a grayish color. I'm gonna go with 8 pixel corner radius here, and give it a fill, obviously. Yeah, okay. So since the colors have loaded here, then we're gonna go here and we can use our previous text. Okay. Uh, so one thing to know about buttons here, most of the time you want the horizontal padding to be greater than the vertical padding. You can see it's 32 by 16, meaning the horizontal padding is double the vertical padding. Now, it doesn't mean that this should always be doubled, but it's good thing to have that to know the horizontal one should always be greater. That's just like our brains understand buttons to have more width rather than height. So I'm gonna call this button BTN. Actually, we're gonna have two buttons, right? So let's just cut this part here. I'm gonna go over and create another page. I'm gonna follow components here. Okay. Then I'm gonna like put this in a frame. This is gonna be BTNs. So our buttons components. We're gonna be making most of our elements components. Just to make reusability simple and to learn about some components usage in Figma. So obviously let's make the components, but of course we have to make this and also layouts for 4 by 64 here. Okay, we want this to hot content and we want this central alignment. Yeah, so we don't want this to be the starting point. Let's call this text here. Within this, creating a component here. And we instead of like this style, obviously though we have to make this a variable. So gray 800, and let's just go back for a minute here just to have our variable. I'm gonna select these two, we're gonna make them side by side, so it's 2 pixels, and we're gonna call this grays. So these will be our grayscale colors, and the first one here would be our gray 800, and this one will be our gray 300. This one, obviously, we were going to give it as the same stroke as everything. So gray 800, and let's select everything here. Go selections. The black should be black. The white should be whites, and blue should be blue 200. Okay, good progress right here. Now we go back to the components, and here instead we don't want to give it a stroke, but we want to give it a background color. So the background color here would be one of our brand colors. Our brand colors here. Just to get them, I'm going to go to the design here. An eyedropper tool. Okay. Not like that. Let's just have this here. Let's just copy it and go back here. We're going to go to the components, give it this brand color. And obviously I'm going to make this the purple, right? So purple, it's a purplish color. It's in between blue and purple. I'm just going to call it blue because I want to stay consistent. But I can realize like this is more of a purple. We can call that shade purple. I see more of a purple in it than blue. So I'm gonna call this purple 500. This will be one of our other brand colors. Here we have, uh, here it appears as if white is more contrasting, less contrasting than the black here. Which is, I don't think, maybe, I like this contrasting rule sometimes doesn't work as you want it. So I'm just gonna go here, and I think like there is enough contrast. Looking at it, there is clear separation and enough contrast here. So I'm gonna have it like this. Okay, so we're gonna have it like white, and this will be our primary button. Uh, Obviously before that we want to go to the design system here, and we're gonna go here. Let's just duplicate this one and go purple 500 here, and let's just give it this value. Okay. Okay, so now that we have our brand colors are coming along quite nicely. So now let's just copy this, or we can go the same way, go to creating this file, components page, and just drag it in. That also could be used. But to also show you the other way, you can go to files, components, and from here you can just simply copy it and just bring it over here. So now let's rename this sign up, since this will be our sign up call to action. And let's go back to components and create our login call to action, which is going to be a different variant. I'm going to call this variant secondary VTN. This is going to be primary. Also, I like to have this. Let's just make this our primary brand color. And let's give this some also layout just to structure it better. So this course is not only about web design, but you'll learn how to structure content and how to keep your Figma files better organized. So I'm just showing you that here. Now here, the secondary button, we're gonna have some different properties. First, I'm gonna give it a white fill, and the text inside will be black. Here will be black. And finally, we're going to have some borders to distinguish it. That's where we're going to be using the border that we have been prepared for. So now let's just take this. This is going to be, first of all, this is going to be our primary CTA. So primary. It's going to be our secondary CTA, and it's going to have the secondary style. So just here, secondary, and instead of sign up, let's go with login. And we're gonna have the login here on the first row. And the reason, first coming first actually, and the reason for that is basically, most of the time people read from left to right. Like there are exceptions obviously for Arabic and stuff like that. But most of the time people read from left to right. So you wanna when people check if they have an account, and only then you want them to sign up. So let's just take these two here, Shift A, and let's name this CTAs or call to actions. Then we're gonna have some gap in between them, maybe 16 pixels. That looks fine. Let's take these three elements you see right here. Let's group them, and the frame one, I'm gonna actually call this the navbar or the header, whichever one you like. As long as the naming is consistent and you understand it. So now we could give it an auto gap, meaning it will resize when I resize. The gap will be changing. Now I want to go to layouts, columns. So here we're gonna have a 12 count, and we're gonna leave everything the same. We're gonna have a gutter of 20, everything like that. So now we're gonna have our rulers, and instead of toggling the layouts here whenever we need them, I'm just gonna have the rulers, which are easier to work with. So these will be our edges for our design. Now, what we can do here is we can take these to the top left and move it so that it aligns with the left edge. And we're gonna drag it to align with the right too. So now, if we remove the uh, rulers, it's obvious that this space over here is equal to this space over here, which is what you actually want. You don't want your content to be like this, where there's more space on this side, or where there's more space on this side, or even if there are just some separation here. So just want to make sure that everything is centered and there is equal space from the left and the right regarding the rulers here. Okay, so one last thing here is white space. You don't want your content to be stuck to any edges, so that's why we gave it padding here, and that's why we want to give it padding on the top and bottom here too. I'm just going to give it a vertical padding of 16 pixels, and this is our navbar. Now, it's quite a simple navbar, but I believe we discussed so many important notes and so many important visual principles here. Next time, we're going to be continuing with the hero section. So we're going to be continuing working on the web design today. We're going to be continuing with the hero section. So basically, the hero section is the part where we create intrigue of our brand. It's not a part where we sell. It's not a part where the marketing is like the most focused thing, but it's where we create intrigue enough for the user to be able to scroll. So if the user doesn't care to scroll, the website has failed. So the hero section would be one of the most important parts that you can create. So before working on the hero section, we're going to be creating a cool background pattern effect here using gradients that Figma offers us, right? So we're going to go to the fill here, and instead of a simple white, we're going to go into the gradient. Now I'm going to drag the gradient here from the top left here to the top, so the bottom right. Now I'm going to angle it down a bit. We're going to be creating some sort of wavy shadow effect. Now, that might not seem very clear when I'm talking about it, but the end result hopefully will give you a better understanding here. We're going to have an E. This is the shadowy color, which is just off-white. Then we're going to, let's make these two first. Then let's create some color stops. This will seem complicated, but in reality, it's very simple. What you're going to be doing is you don't have to really understand this part. You can just duplicate it and reuse it in any of your websites or projects that you create from now on. So we're going to start from 8 pixels, right? We're going to go up to 16 pixels. Then from 16 pixels, we're gonna go up. So from 8 to 16, that's 8 increment. Then I'm gonna go with 2 increments with 18, from 16 to 18. Then from 18, 6 increment, which is 24. So hopefully I'm doing that right. So from 6 increment, we're gonna go back to 8 increment, which is 32. Okay. So now we have these slow increments. So it starts by 8 increment, then 8 increment. This initial 8, you can just forget about it. We start by 8 increments, 2 increment, 6 increment. Then we go back to 8 increment, and we're going to be following that pattern. So here we did 8 increments, so now we do, so it was 8, then 2, right? So 34 here, 34, followed by 6 increment, 40, followed by 40 plus 8, 48, then 48, it's 50, and we have this sort of effect, right? So we have already done half of it. So we're going to go in between, and we're going to actually add E. E. So two of them, we're going to be EE. So FEE, FEE, FEE. So now you would be seeing this wavy effect. Like it's barely noticeable, but it's very cool to see, and it gives much more of an identity to the website. And it will make the background much nicer to look at. So we're going to be continuing with that throughout the website. So let's just increase this. We're going to go add a couple of more here. Okay. So I think we added here. So 48. So we are at 50, right? So from 50, we go 48 to 50. That's 2 increment. Now from 2 increment, it's 6 increments. So 50 to 56. Okay, 56. 8 increment. 56 to I think is 64. 64, 2 increments, 66, 66, 6 increment, that is 72, 72, 8 increment, which is 80, 8, here 80 actually, 80, that is 2 increments, 82, and we're almost done, just a 6 increment here, 82, 6 increment, that is 88, 88, 8 increments actually is 96. 96 to increment would be 98. And yeah, 98 is the closest thing we're gonna have for 100. So that's quite enough there. So we're gonna be following the pattern FEE, FEE. Let's move down. FEE, FEE, F here. So EE then F, EE, F here. And yeah. So let's just make sure we have it for FB, FEE, FEE, FEE. So FEE, 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 FEE. Okay, so you see here it's fine, but I think we messed up something right over here. So around here at 66%. Okay, so 50, then 56 was fine. 56, then 8 increments. I'm right here, 64, 64, 2 increments. Then after 2 increments, we do 6 increments, 32. Okay. We can just adjust it a bit here, just to get the look. There really has to be pinpoint perfection here. We can adjust it. Shadows can have different looks at different points. Okay. So now if we zoom out, you can see this cool wavy effect running from the top left all throughout the website up to the bottom right. So this is the background effect that we're going to be having, and I'm going to have this as a grade variable. I'm going to call this BG pattern, and I'm going to save it BG pattern here. Actually, now I'm not going to save it as the brand or system. It's just an action that we'd have as part of our variables here. But it's good to have as a variable either way. So we're going to be continuing on with the hero section. The hero section, as we said, is one of the most important parts of the websites. So yeah, you're going to be continuing the hero section. The hero section, there are some common elements that you always need. The first thing being you'll need a strong headline, right? So the headline I picked out will be secure your digital legacy with afterwise. Here actually it's after wise. Okay. And then we're gonna have a different font style for it. We're gonna go with a bigger font, right? So I'm gonna go with 64 and the line height will be 64 just to keep it a bit smaller. And I'm gonna give it with a regular uh, uh, font weight here. Now, since we have this, it's better if we have it as a variable, right? So there's gonna be a pretty large one. I'm gonna go extra large, and it's gonna be regular. There's gonna be sans actually here, sans, extra large, regular. Now we're gonna create it here, and we have to register it here, obviously. So here we would go sans. This will be extra large, extra large, and finally it's gonna be regular. So now let's just increase the size over here. We're gonna go here, and you're gonna use the larger one, right? So this is the final output. We have it's registered. So now what we can do is basically we're gonna go drag it inwards, making it smaller, and obviously I want to central line this. So I'm gonna drag it up to this point. And yeah, let's actually just increase the line height just a bit here. Okay, styles here actually. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna give it a bit more line height. Around 60, 72 maybe. 72 looks fine. Yeah. Uh, Following that, we would actually want to create some points of visual interest. Points of visual interest is just taking uh some elements and adding some detail to it just to make it more interesting. So we're gonna go here, we're gonna take out this part which says digital legacy, and we're gonna make it a different color, which will be our brand color here, which I still insist that it is very much visible. Uh, also the Figma plugin here is not the best thing in the world. It's accurate most of the time, but you can just eye some stuff. So not only that, but we are gonna give it another font style here. There's gonna be instrument serif, and we're gonna use the italic variation. We're gonna use a bit of increase in size. Okay, I'm gonna go 72 here, and it's gonna be the same thing actually. So it's gonna be sans instead of here. It's gonna be serif, extra large, and regular. Regular, you can actually say it's italic. So just say italic or IT, right? So now let's just create the style. Let's go here, obviously, and sans instead of here, it's gonna be italic. Here is gonna be serif. Let me just stick this up here, and let's just give this the value here. So we're gonna be using this just as an accent to complement the rest of the website content, the rest of the text. Okay. Now we're gonna be continuing with it. So how are we gonna do it? So we also need some content for the description, right? So let's just start typing here. We're gonna have this 14 pixel regular, so quite the smaller text here. So we're just gonna say plan, protect, and when you practice, it's better to have real copy. Real copy means real uh, world text that you might think would be included in such a website. And the reason for that is basically uh, organized here. Is basically you want to have almost a real representation of what you'll have when the website is done. So okay, let me just take some text here, just copy it. Here, okay. So you don't want to just use random lorem ipsum text. You want to keep it like as real as possible. Okay. Yeah. So this will be our secondary text, the subheadline. And we're gonna have it here centered with this part here, which is the headline and the subheadline. Now we're gonna have one more section, primary section here, which is gonna be just the simple call to actions. Now, call to actions, we already have a couple of components for them. Okay, we have a couple of components for them, but I want to add two more. Here, the primary one is going to be primary, and the variation will be icon. So with an icon accent, the accent I'm going to be using actually is a logo, a simple logo I created, and I'm going to have an assets page here, as I told you before. And I'm just going to have this like this here and paste it. Okay, so this will be the accent logo I'm going to be using. And this is the accents. Okay, just give it some 64 by 64 here, padding, sort 2 gap, and here we are. Now I'm going to take this, I'm going to make a component out of it. Let me just copy it, go back to components here, and I'm going to paste it inside. Great. Okay, so now you can see it's resized 16 pixels by 12 pixels. Like I might have a future course on iconography, but this is very simple, and you can just grab it from the Figma file from the assets page, as I told you earlier. So let's have it be with some space here. 8 pixel looks very fine here. So let's just go here and paste it. Okay. Instead, let's just go here, duplicate this, bring it here, and it's going to be primary icon. And instead of sign up, I'm going to go get started, because the hero section call to actions would need more of an emphasis than the navbar. So the navbars are always an option. They're always there to support the hero section's icon buttons, but this is the primary part where you would want to make it more exciting. And saying get started is more exciting than saying now just sign up. So you would go back now and we would create another variant for this, and this would be secondary uh accented, or is an icon, right? So we're going to be using another icon here. Let me just go to assets and paste this for you here. Instead of the accents, it's going to be more of an icon. So let's just have it here, icons, Control Shift R. Actually, I'm going to need rename this arrow accent, and I'm going to name this video accent, and it's 14 pixel height. I'm just going to create components for it and copy it. Then I'm going to go to components and just paste it in here, and give this 8 pixel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this at the back here, this at the front, and the reason for that is we're saying go. So like this is the idea behind it. We're saying go, get started. Here we're just describing this text, so it makes much more sense to have this describe it before we make it clear. So the icon would be the teller of the story, the teller or the call to action, and the text would be actually supporting the icon in this case. So now we're just gonna go here and just duplicate this and the secondary icon, right? So icon to your secondary. Then we're gonna have here watch video. And this will be the link to the explainer video section, which you're going to be creating, I think, in the next part. And we're going to be saying this is the secondary here, the secondary call to action. And we're going to take these two and we're going to do the same, group them into 16 pixels. And here we have more exciting buttons than this. So obviously you want to make sure that always your hero section buttons have more of an emphasis than your navbar buttons on the top. Okay, so what's next? What do we do next? Quite simply, we need a banner. A banner is where you do some extra information giving, some marketing. Uh, let's rename the CTAs. So let's have a banner here. How do we have a banner? Quite simply, we need first a simple call to action. And for that, we need a new variation of the button. Here, I'm going to have a new variation of the button, and this is going to be primary small or primary SM. We're going to have this very small, just 8 pixels by 8 pixels here. And let's just copy it. And let's just paste it in. And this button would be to provide like extra information. So let's just say learn more. For example, let's say that the software is currently under active development. So we want to give people the chance to stay updated on the different features added and stuff like that. So I guess we'll get regular updates on the development of afterwise. Hopefully I spelled that wrong. Correctly, I mean. Now we're gonna have this 14 pixels instead of semi-bold. It's gonna be regular, and we're gonna have it at gray 300. Let's take these two. Let's group them. Around 16 pixel gap here would be great. Then let's have some padding 16 by 16. And let's have some fill actually. Let's give it a fill of whites. And let's give it a stroke of what we've been using so far, which is the gray 800 here. And I'm going to give it 8 pixel cone radius. And notice that everywhere I'm going, I have 8 pixel cone radius and 8 pixel cone radius. And that's very important. You want consistency in your style. Now here, I'm going to give this 6 pixel cone radius. I'm going to go back to the components. I'm going to give you 6 pixel cone radius. And the reason I'm doing that is because it's an inner border radius, meaning there's 8 pixels here, so 8 pixels here too would collide. So you want the inner border radius to be smaller most of the times. Also, when a size increases, the border radius should increase, and when it decreases, the border radius should decrease, because the effect that it would have will also change. So we're gonna rename this the banner. Let's take these 3 elements here, group them into 16 pixel gap elements, and this would be the header. We're gonna take this two and we're gonna content. Okay, so I'm gonna go 32 here. Now regarding spacing, right? So when you space your elements, you have to make sure you space them based on connectivity. For example, these 3 elements are more connected to each other, so I'd give them 16 pixels in relation then to this element, which is further apart from from these elements. So I give it double, which is 32. Now we're almost done with the hero section. I know this might be a lot to take in, but I'm trying to break it down as much as possible. Almost done. What we need now is basically, first I would like to actually adjust this linear gradient here. Just make it more of a proper one, just to make it more consistent throughout. So we go, okay, around 40 here, 40, then 48. Okay, so that's where we missed it. Okay, it should be 40, then 48, then 50, then 56. So here we're going to go, instead of 77, we're going to have 50, 40, 48, 50, 56, 72 we would have, then 74. After 74 we would have 80. After 80 we would have 88 and 90, followed by 96. That's the proper orientation. It seems like we missed one, so now we have to go F E E F E E F E E here, F E E F E E F E. Okay. Yeah. So seems broken a bit too. So let's just try to fix it. This might be like a bit of a hard thing to understand fully. So let's just try to double check everything, make sure we didn't make a mistake. 40, 48, 50, 56, 72, 74, 80, 88. Okay, so 80. Okay, this 82 is messing it up. Let's just remove it. So it's 80, 88, 90, 96. So 72, 74, F, E, E here, and F finally. Okay. Okay. Again, seems like we forgot something around here. Okay, let me just double check it here. Sorry for the delay here. Okay, let's just drag it down a bit. Drag it down. Okay. Uh, so okay, it seems like I made a mistake here. So 50, 56, and when you add 8 to it, there should be an in between here. So 50, 56. When you add 8, there should be 74. So here's the mistake. So 8, right? So 8, 64. 8 and 2. 64. After 64, it should be 66. After 66, yeah, we add 72 there. Okay, so now we have to fix it. E, F, E, E, F, E, E, F, E, E, F, E, E, here. Okay, again, there's an issue. So it's 56. Then after 6, we add 8, right? So after 6, 2 here, then 6, then 8, then 2, so 50, then 6, then 8, then 2, then 6, I think after 2, 2, 2, 6, 8. Okay, 8, this would be 80. 80, after 8, there's 2, 82 here. Okay, 82. Then 6, no, after 2, 6, yeah, 6, 88. After 6, there should be 8, which is 96, and that'll be the final one. Okay, finally we have fixed it, so let's just make sure it's EEF, 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 E. Okay, EEF, 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 E. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we have this figured out. Okay, so now this is more proper. Okay, so now we can just go back and continue working and finish it. The hero section a bit more complicated. The rest of the section would be much easier in regard considering the difficulties of the hero section. Now let's just start by having a testimonials. I want a testimonials scrolling over the screen. So we're gonna be creating something resembling that. So let's say first of all, let's have a random name here. You can go with the whatever name like John Doe. Can do that, but I will keep it more realistic here. We're gonna have it a 20 pixel and regular. And it's gonna be a new style here. There's gonna be sans. Then we're gonna be medium, right? So no, it's actually we have medium, then just above medium, so medium large here, then it's gonna be regular. Create style, components, sorry, it's branch and system actually. Gonna go around here, let's duplicate this, and you can see I'm putting it in order of size. So there's gonna be sans, medium, large here. Okay, now we're done. And we're gonna have some text here. Let's just have it here. I've been using afterwise for the previous 2 years, and I can't comment it enough. So the reason I'm doing all of this text actually, I've already explained it, is because we want as much realism as possible to resemble what would happen in a real website. So this I'm gonna have it to be left aligned. Actually, because we're gonna have it in a container. Yeah. So let's just cut it off around here. Let's just take this 60 pixel gap. I would give it. Then we'll need an image for it, right? Let's have an image. Let's remove the fill and give it some on radius 6 pixels because we'll have it in a container. So let's just take these two. This is gonna be the content. There's gonna be the image, and let's actually give the image an actual visibility. Okay, so I'm gonna go right click. You saw it probably. Plugins and Unsplash. Unsplash is a very popular plugin used for just using images. It's an image library. It's very popular. I'm gonna search for a person, and there are so many options. Let's actually use this one here. Yeah, let's just use this one. And okay, so how are we gonna do this? In the simplest form, we're gonna take this, we're gonna name the frame testimony. We're gonna give this around around 24 or 16. I'm gonna go 16 here. Okay, then let's go 16 by 16 padding, and the width should be hard content, and everything seems fine so far. So let's just give it a stroke, and let's give it a fill here of white. And obviously you want the outer stroke to be 8. Now you can notice here the difference. Actually, if we go up here, the difference between the border radiuses. So that's what we want here. Okay. Now let's take this. We want to make it a bit more wide on the wider side. Actually, it's fine. It's had a good size here. I think it's very much enough on its own now. So now I want to duplicate this. By the way, James Donna, It's not the best name for the image here, right? So let's just have some duplications here. Instead of David Dolan here, let's go here actually. Let's go Rachel. Okay, for some initials. It's almost Lamar, if you know the footballer. And I just have these random names written down in my preparation. And notice I'm not changing this. Like it's real enough on its own. And just to save some time here, I'm deciding just to keep it the same. Okay, I'm gonna give it 24 pixel gap in between them now. And yeah, so here, okay, I would actually add one more here. It's just central lined up, just to show like its transition is moving, something like that. So I'm just gonna add Ahmed Rajesh, and I think I have the images on Unsplash for all these different variations. So let's just search for a person again. I have some images in mind. Yeah, I will use this image actually right here. Let's use it. That will use another image, this one probably. Uh, then this one I would use it too. So it matches with the name. So yep, finally there was one more image, which is this one for Francis lecture. And we have the different variations. Now notice how using different images makes a whole lot of difference instead of having the same. So that means when you add content, when you add difference, and when you add something resembling what would look like in real life websites, then it would make the website look much better. So I'm gonna make this section called the testimonials. I'm gonna take it here, and I'm just gonna Shift A to group it. This will be the hero section. And finally, we're done. The only thing left is to center it. And from here, I want to go around 48 pixels. Is 48, maybe let's just decrease this a bit. So from 48, by the way, I'm holding Alt down so that it showed me the guides. And we're gonna go 40. Okay, very nice. Here we have the final completed hero section for our app here. Okay. By the way, did we update the PG pattern? Okay, let's actually update it before we finish off today. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna delete the style here, and I'm gonna go and add this. I'm gonna make this BG pattern. Okay. So now let's just have it. Okay, let's just make sure it's the correct one. Okay. And we are done. So next up, we're gonna be working on. I'm gonna be probably working on the video explainer video section. So we're going to be continuing with the design here by building the explainer video section. Now the explainer video is very simple, but it's one of the most important sections of the website. Basically, a website or a SaaS or a brand needs some sort of clarification, and exposition, you can say. So we will create a video section where the primary purpose of that section would be to show a good explainer video to the user for the user to understand what the brand actually does. So we're gonna be continuing with that. Let me just give ourselves a bit more space. from the 1024 pixels height currently, I'm just gonna add 1024. Most people don't know this. You can actually do arithmetic mathematical operations here on the numbers on Figma, right? So 1024 plus 1024, or is the same as 1024 plus 2 times 2 actually. So we're gonna just add that to the design. Notice how the wavy effect here continues all throughout the website. So yeah, let's continue. The first thing you have to do is we have to create the headline. So I believe that except for some exceptions, most of our sections should have a clear, understandable headlines, right? So let's just add that here. So the first one would be learn more about digital security, security and privacy. Okay, I misspelled this. So here will be our headline. Now we want the headline to be a bigger number. So let's just go around 56 here. And let's go and make the line height here around 56 or 58 here. Let's start with 56 and see if that's good enough. Let's just increase it just about 58, uh, around, around 64 here. Works perfectly. And obviously, as you might have guessed, we would want to make this a style, for the text style. So it's going to be basically a sans serif. That's going to be medium, I think, right? So it's medium. Sorry, we already use medium. It's going to be large. So we had extra large, and now we have large. It's going to be of regular weight. So let's just apply that. And obviously, since we did that, we want to go over to the brand and systems here and go down. Let's just duplicate this and give it this. So instead of extra large here, we're just going to be removing the large. And here we added a font style. Okay, great. Moving on. Let's just increase this width a bit since we have some time. We have some space here. Actually, this is good enough. So what we're gonna do here is do what we did here, right? So we're gonna go here and we're gonna take the digital security part, which is the primary focus of the headline. We're gonna change it up. We're gonna make it an insurance serif. I'm gonna take it and make it italic. Right? Increase the size a bit. So now we have this variation. We're gonna go here. Actually, we're gonna uh take this part and we wanna add a style for it, right? So it's serif. That's very large and regular. And italic actually, I'd say. Okay, so now let's go into the brand system. Let's duplicate this. Let's go like this here. Sans serif. Here I believe I wrote it. I wrote it twice. Serif. Large and italic. And that's it. So you will now move it down here. Actually here. Good. So you are having the font styles almost completed. Maybe you would add one or two more font styles and maybe a couple where we make it responsive. But it's almost complete here, so we can just continue with it. Now, obviously, we want to be consistent, right? So what I want to do is I want to go here. I want to give this a purple 500 color. So you see, this will give it more of a pop. Now we also need a description, right? So let's just duplicate this. So when you have a headline is something to like sell. A headline is something to intrigue, to make interesting. Most of the time you need a description to express what the headlines actually say. So we're just gonna have some description here. Watch our explainer. Video to gain more of what services and how be safe. Okay, so we will have this sort of headline here. Let's just drag it in a bit. One rule to have is that you don't want your headlines to be longer than your sub-headlines. You want them to be a bit smaller here. So this, like for example, this is a good size for it. Yeah, okay. This is a good size for it now. As you can see, we're doing that all throughout. And that's like a law basically that it's good to follow. So now we're gonna take this button here, duplicate it, bring it here. You can see like this is a button, a component. So you see besides the primary, secondary, and we have this. So great. Now let's group these two, right? It's around 16 pixel gap here. And here it's going to be 32. Name this header, uh, headline, let's say. Header, this way. Now you can see I grouped them based on connectivity. So these two are more connected to each other. So 16 pixel gap. Since they are less connected to this one, we would give it a bigger gap, which is 32 pixels. Keep that in mind. Most people struggle with spacing, but spacing is actually very simple. Now let's continue. We're gonna have a rectangle here, or square. So it should be through the ratio of 1920 by 1080. Then we're gonna make it smaller. I just wanted the ratio here. And let's give ourselves a bit more space. That's good enough, I think. Let's give this a bit more radius. So the default we've been using was 8, but you see the 8 here has barely any effect on it because it's too big. Now we want to go increase it to 16. 16 is too small again. Maybe 24, and 24 now is much more visible. That looks much more better. So when you increase the size, the effect that a border radius, 1 pixel border radius has decreases. So you want to increase the border radius when you increase the size. So here we would go to rectangle and rename it video container. Want to work on it a bit later. So let's first create a play icon here. It's very simple, a very simple play icon here. So let's drag a circle here, container icon, container. Then let's drag on, that's square, but here we'll use the polygon tool, Figma. Let's just make it a bit darker to see, just to see it's better. So we're gonna go -90. And we're gonna place it like this, center it. So let's actually increase the size a bit here. And here the polygon, now it's better if we name it play icon. This would be the icon container. icon and the icon container, and together there would be the play icon actually. Shift A. Yeah, okay. So this would be play icon. Now here, Figma has applied some styles. Well, let's add some more ourselves. Here we want the height and the width to be consistent to make the square. But first, let's give it corner radius here, 999. So here's our play icon, and just to keep consistent again, I'm going to give this 8 pixel corner radius. And now we can just put it in. If we give this a different shade, this would be easier to see, right? So now we take this and the video, and together they would be the video, right? And we're central line it, fixed width and fixed height here. But this should be consistent. Let's just increase it a bit. Let's go in and increase this. And also let's decrease this. Six here. Okay. So we have this play as our video section here. Now it's very simple. We just have to color it. So the way we color it is actually very simple. We just have to go into our variables here. I'm going to use the darker blue. Or we could actually create another style, but I think we can use this darker blue. And for the inner one, I'm going to use this blue, or white actually, it's white, followed by the primary color blue here. And this will be our simple video section. It's very effective. Like something you have to understand is this video section will not be displayed like this. Rather, it would be a video, and when you click it, this will never show. Instead of video will show. So this is a placeholder, but it's a good thing to have in your designs to simulate what real life websites will have again. So that's the best way to practice. So now we want to take these two elements, Shift A to auto layout them. We're gonna go with the video section. Let's just move this. Then we would go to round this. How much gap did we go here? Okay, this should be consistent. So we're gonna go 48 here, then 48 here too. So then we want to go here and go 96, 96. You see, it's double. Here's 2, 48. Then from 48, here we go 48, 96, doubling. So it's all about connectivity. The more connected the elements are, the closer they get to each other. The less connected the elements are, the further they get from each other. So now let's just drag up this one, and let's just take the navbar on top, the video section on bottom, and we are getting somewhere in this website. Not too many sections are remaining, but we're going to be covering a lot more principles here. So yeah, so next time I'm going to be working on other sections, but for today this is enough. So now we're going to be continuing with the design here. We're going to be building the feature section. First of all, let's give ourselves a bit more space. I'm just going to drag the window here down a bit. And yeah, before we actually start working on the feature section, what I would like to do is I would like to go here to the navbar. I would like to copy it and make it a component, which is something forgot last time. And here, Control-Shift-R, which is the shortcut to paste and replace. Yeah, so now we can just make this a component, copy it, and go back to designs. Control-Shift-R again to replace it with a component. And whenever we would need something to repeat again, we would make it a component. For example, I think it's a good idea to take this banner and make it into a component. So again, this would be Navbar, or Navbars probably, since we will have some variations here. And here we would have another one for banners. Control Shift R again, make a component, copy it, go back to designs, and Control Shift R, the same process. Very simple. Now anything that we would want to make a component here, yeah, probably this part, this element here. I'm just gonna copy one at random. Let's just take this one, go into components, and this one will be user user reveal, user preview, whatever you want to say. Let's just say user preview or showcase. I think that's more descriptive, showcase. Or actually testimonies here, I think is the spelling. And let's just Control Shift R here, copy it, not actually copy it, first make the component, then copy it, go back to designs, Control Shift R here. Let's duplicate it, and let's just change the names here, right? So let's just change the names, and let's change, I think better if we change this to here. So first let's go ahead and change all the images, but actually here, let's change the name, 1 2 3 again. Let's bring this in, it's Rachel K. So now you wanna take this. And the reason I'm doing this, now it might seem overkill, but in larger projects and in real life projects, that's something you would consider doing, because it would make your life much easier in the long term. Like we're going to be reusing this component again and again. So if we if we can just create it once and use different variations of it, then the design process will become instantly easier. So this is Mohammed Rajesh. Then finally, let's go over to the testimonies here, and just delete the last testimony. Obviously, now you would want to change the images. So go to plugins and Unsplash, and yeah, and let Unsplash load here. They're gonna search for person as we did previously. So David Jones, this is the one. Here, Rachel K. Gonna use the same images pretty much. Then this image right here, James Fletcher, is around. First of all, this is here, and if you scroll a bit down here, James Fletcher. Okay. Okay, that's great. So now we have everything componentized here. There nothing really to components to make our components in this case. Yeah, so we're just gonna continue. You can make like this section a component here. But I think that's a bit overkill, especially considering we might not use the explainer video again in the whole website. Like if there at some point we need it, it's very easy to just duplicate it and just make a component out of it. But for now, it's overkill, I think. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the new feature section. We're going to duplicate the headline here. And we're going to do the same thing here. So using the same font and everything, you have to be consistent. I'm going to write a different sorry, I'm going to write a different headline. And we're going to make this hard content. We're going to make it a bit wider. And we're going to take the part where it says digital state. and we want to make it into our accent. Uh, then we're gonna continue with that, and we're gonna give it the purple color. And I think we can give some space here, but that would be too long considering this is at its current width. Again, we would give it a totally unique subheadline description, and since we already did that, I can just paste it in here. It's fine. I hope you understand the process, why we do this. Sorry. Why we do this and why we need a subheadline or headline. So I'm just gonna copy and paste here just to save some time. Now we'll need some cards here, card elements, and they'll be very simple. First, what are the features that we are offering? So digital assets discovery. So that's one of the features the brand is offering. So if we say that, let's actually make this into a bold 16. Then we're gonna write a description for it, right? So locate in catalog all your online accounts from streaming services to bank logins. So this is the feature. Logins here. Catalog. Where did I? Catalog here. Okay. Then we're going to make this a bit smaller at 14 here. 14 regular. I'm going to give this a gray color. Let's now take it inwards, and since it's a card, we're gonna left align it. Okay. By the way, everything in the components here should be using the variables. There seems to be. Yeah, I don't quite know. Oh, it's talking about this gradient. So I think it's better to just have it as a variable either way. We're gonna call this BTN icon grad or grade for gradient BTN icon grad. And I think that's enough to have here. Okay. Now let's go back to the design. And obviously here too, everything should be a component. It's black and I don't know. Okay, here this should be grade 300. Okay, great. So then we're gonna have an arrow, an indicator arrow here. It's very simple to create arrows in Figma actually. Let's just shift and L, right? So if we click L on the keyword, here we would have an arrow, a line, and if we click Shift L, it would turn to an arrow. You can see the bottom like bar here. You can see when I click L, it's a line. When I click Shift L, it's an arrow. Very simple. Now we want our arrow to be significantly smaller, so 25 pixel width. We're gonna also have it at an angle here, around minus 45. Maybe 45. Maybe 45, a bit too steep. Around 23, I think would be nice. Then let's have the rounded corners here. Let's just adjust it a bit here. Okay, maybe we decrease the line height. I think 2 is actually fine. And this will simply be our arrow. Shift A, put it in a frame. The frame should be a circle, so it should be resistance 36, price 36. Central line this one, no padding at all. And give it a fill, a white fill here. And a stroke. And we're gonna make that a circle. Very simple. Here a very simple arrow, which actually we might even consider making into a component here. But for now, let's just leave it in. And if we need it again, we'll make it a component. So this will be the call to action for the card here. Let's just take these two, auto spacing and central alignment, obviously. Then we're going to fold this the header of this section. And we're going to take this and we're going to be calling this the content. We're going to left align everything. We're going to give it smaller gap around 16 pixels, I think. And I think that's fine here. Now, the final thing we need is an image here. So I'm just going to drag a rectangle here for now. Then let's just take this rectangle, call it the image. Here, Shift A. We can central line it actually, but there's no need. This should fill the container. Then it doesn't actually need to fill the container, but I think it's better we have it like that. Then let's actually give it some padding around 16 by 16, which is very consistent with what we've been doing so far. Let's give it a white fill, a stroke, gray one, some core radius 8 pixels, and here we're gonna keep in with the style here, and we're gonna give this 6 because the inner corner radius should be smaller. The gap now should be 24, nothing really too big. Just gonna call it a feature. Now, obviously, it would make much more sense when we add the image. So, since this is like digital asset discovery, let's just search for it and see what comes here. Okay, I had an image for it. Maybe security. Something that would bring up better results here. I had an image in mind here. This is the image. Okay. And notice here we're not gonna be using this image directly. We're gonna be adjusting it a bit here. Just to fit the style that we want. Okay. Let's just okay, spin. So let's just make this a bit wider. Okay, great. Now, how are we gonna adjust this? Obviously, you see like our whole website is built on this blue color, and suddenly this comes in. Obviously, here these are not as vibrant, but this comes in and make it so vibrant and red and green. You don't want that. So the easiest way out of this would be just to give it some editing. So let's just take this. First of all, we don't need the saturation at all. Second of all, let's make this 100. So it covers it fully. And we're gonna make it into, what are we using actually? Our brand colors here. Let's use this brand color. Balls here and here. We're gonna drag it down. This will have this cool fading effect here. Around here. We don't want this to be standing out as that. So here I think this is good enough. It's just add some accent to it just to make the image blend with the design. Okay, so you have to make sure your assets blend with your design. So obviously there isn't a way to take this part only and make it into a variable, unfortunately. So we're gonna have this. We're gonna use this all throughout here. And it's gonna be just gonna be here. Actually, we can make it a variable. Okay, so this one should be the pattern. Okay. Okay, I mistakenly changed that. So let's make this black only. Uh, yeah, we can leave it as it is. Doesn't really matter. Okay. Maybe that's something Figma would fix in the future. But for now, we can just move on here. Yeah. So we have this card, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy it, go to components again, and what we've been doing so far, just duplicate it, bring it here, features card, and I'm just gonna call this cards, Control Shift R here, and this is gonna be a features card. So let's just say card, not like that. Just say card here, and create a component out of it. Let's just copy this card here, Control Shift R here, paste it in. Very nice. So we're gonna duplicate it 2 times. Let's take everything here, Shift A, 24 gap, central alignment, and these are the 3 cards, right? Now I'm just gonna write out what those cards represent here. And I'm just gonna copy and paste these here, family guide. And notice here how these have different heights because this has more text. I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select everything and make its height field containment, just to make it consistent here. And this would be the features. And yeah, so we're almost done. We just need to change the images. I'm gonna go back to Unsplash. Again, if you haven't installed Unsplash, just do so. So planning, let's just search for planning. And here's the image right away. Okay, great. Here, we'll need another image, this time for family guide. Hopefully we can find good image for this too. So maybe family safety. I probably spelled that. Family planning, maybe. Uh, okay, so you don't really have to struggle this much to find it. I just wanted to show you where you would have to scroll on Unsplash to find it. So I think we can use this image here, right here. I think I have a better image though. Let's just copy it and control. Okay, we can't really. Let's use this actually. Let's use this. So the images should not be something like clearly obvious in regards to this text, right? The image should be describing it with some connection, like digital asset discovery. And here, this is the best image I could find here on Unsplash. Planning, obviously, family guide, obviously. So now we just have to take everything here and group it 48 pixel again, stay consistent, and from here 96. So today we learn so much here, especially about how to use assets like images, and you have to make them fit with the style of your design. So now we have this features section. Let's just collapse everything here and move it down below the video section. And let's just take this, make it smaller here. And yeah, we are having good progress. All these 3 sections remaining. The testimonial sort of, the pricing and the footer. So we're going to be continuing with the design with those sections. For now though, I think that's enough for today. So let's continue working on the websites through the testimonial section. So the testimonial section is the section of our websites where we're going to be showing real use cases and real users. Okay, so I'm just going to drag this down a bit here to give ourselves a bit more space to work with. Now, regarding the testimonial section, again, since it's a section on itself, I'm just going to duplicate this part here I'm gonna write a headline, right? So I'm just going to say supporting you through difficult times. Okay. So now we will go here, we'll select the serif variation of the font. We would also go here and change it to purple, doing the same thing we've been doing all throughout. And let's actually, I'm just gonna copy some text here and I'm gonna use it here. Okay. The get started would be, obviously would be here. Notice here that we have the get started and watch video here. This is not showing up for some reason. Okay, maybe this should be, okay, the selection should be black, obviously. Okay. Yeah. So notice how we are using our call to actions, right? Every section has a get started, meaning when, or the way you have to think of it is that whichever session the user is on, the user could make a decision to buy into the product that moment. So you would want to have a clear and concise option right there for you to provide the user whenever the user decides, I'm sold, I want to buy this product, and you always have to make a button available for the user. Okay, so now continuing on, we would need our testimony, one of our testimony uh here. So I'm just gonna drag this in here, and you see how useful our components are right now. So for some reason, okay, so for some reason, most of this stuff have become invisible. So we're just gonna change the white to black. Okay, not that's okay. Not here, actually here for me. Here it should be black, and here should be black too. For some reason it just disappeared. I don't know why. Yeah. Let's actually reset this. So reset instance, and we're gonna change this back to watch video. Or we can say watch explainer, actually. And here we have this currently. And now we wanna not only show one user, but we also want to describe what exactly the software did for the user, right? So we're going to be using here an accordion. An accordion is basically a section of a part of or an element of a website, a UI element, where you click on one selection to reveal its content and to remove the contents of the other. So let's just build it, and I think that will make it more clear. We start from numbering, right? So we would have 3 items, I think. So let's start from numbering it. We can go here and use our serif fonts here just to make it more interesting, more visible. We're gonna use the large serif one. Let's continue with the feature, right? So guided account management would be the feature. And here we want this to be simply 16 pixel, and we don't have it on regular. Okay, let's have one on regular, right? So okay, since we don't have it, we want a 16 pixel regular one, and we're gonna add this sort of style, so sans, medium, regular. Okay, obviously if we do that, we have to go back here to branded systems, and let's go down, serif, medium, semi-bold. Let's duplicate it. Here this would be serif, medium, regular, and let's change it to be regular actually here. Okay, great. Now let's just take these two here and I want a smaller size for this. So let's actually just go down a bit here from 64. We want to go down to 48 maybe. 48 by 48 here. Okay, 48 looks nice. So we'll have this as serif, not here, rather we're gonna write it here, serif. This is medium, large for the serif, and it's gonna be regular. No, it's gonna be italic. Okay, we're gonna go back to brand and styles, and let's just take this medium large here, serif, medium large, and italic. Very basically here, and we would change it, right? So obviously there is quite a big difference here, but I don't really intend to use a smaller serif font than this, so they're not much of an issue. We can actually even adjust it. I think it's fair to adjust it. You can give this auto and give this 32. Yeah, I think that's better. Even I think we can give this 32. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's much better. Now I want to make this our accent color here. So that's great. This doesn't have to be a high visual hierarchy element. We've talked about that. You don't need everything to be a high visual hierarchy element. This is just supporting. It doesn't matter if the user knows this is the first one or the second one. It just matters that the important content is there. Okay, moving on. We're gonna have we're gonna have to create some icons here to be able to use for our drop down, right? So I'm just gonna copy this here, this icon. We're gonna be using it. So I'm gonna go to assets, and for under icons here, I'm just gonna paste this in. Let's make this side by side. I'm gonna paste this in as the drop down icon. Drop down. So this will be the drop down icon. We can actually say icon here. So let's get into components. For some reason, making it into components mess it up. Fixed widths by fixed widths. Should okay. Let's just remove this. Okay, yeah. Now we can copy it and go back to designs. And we can just paste it in here. Now we want to have this in a frame. This will be the call to action for the selection here. No gap at all. Just some 24 by 24. No padding. Central align this. We're just gonna give it a fill here of the color and make this selection here white. Also, we want to make it circle, so 999. Maybe this is a bit too big. So 16 by 16. 16 here actually. Maybe increase it just a bit to 20. That looks nice. Now I wanna flip this horizontally. Vertically actually. So it's gonna be when we click it, it should retract up and not go down. Okay, so I'm gonna take these two elements here and group them into around 16 pixels here. I'm gonna call this the content, and together with this would be the selection, right? So this would be accordion item. So this is one of the items we're gonna have. The item will have some padding here and outer gap, white fill, and finally it would have stroke and a pixel corner radius. Very simple again, very simple. So we want to just duplicate this, but instead of that, let's make a component, right? So it's very much worth it to make this component. Control Shift R here, and it's going to be accordion items here, items. Now here we want to make this into a component, and we also want to create a variant for it. This is opened, so this is for the open selection, and this is closed. Now here we want to go in, and first of all, let's change this stroke into purple color as we've been doing throughout. Also we want to give this some also layout just to make it better position, 32 by 32. The gap of 32 here. Okay, great. Now this variant, it's going to be very simple. The only thing we're going to do is we're going to first go in here and flip it vertically back. And we're going to go here and we're going to indicate that it's not the current selection by just going here white. Going to get the selection, go black here. And finally, we're going to go here and give it a stroke to separate it from the background, stroke of gray 800. And that's it. Let's say text here. Text here again. And yeah, that's it. Now we have to just copy this. Control-Shift-R. I'm just gonna paste in from the clipboard. I'm gonna paste in this here. And we have our first one, right? So then let's just duplicate it a couple of times here. 1, 2. Let's just take these elements, make them a bit wider. And let's just make them much closer to each other using 16 pixels. This will be accordion. 16 actually is too big. We have to go 8 since they are pretty much very much connected. Let's give them different texts here. 02, 03 here. This would be bare payment. I don't know how to spell this, how to pronounce this word, bereavement, I think. Checklist, and legacy. So these are the features offered to this person that made the person like the software, right? So memory preservation, and we're done. Okay, so obviously we want these two here to be deselected or closed. Then we want to go in and we want to add the actual open content for this one. And this is very simple actually. It's just some text here. Let me just actually copy the text. Run me the text, 14 pixels. Again, 40 pixels here. And a grayish color. We're just gonna have to give this a container here. This container would be description, right? So it's gonna be the description for the open item. No cap since there's no real other elements. 16 by 16. And we're just gonna take this inside here. Just gonna cut it and paste it in. Place it here. Let's just make this hot content. And let's just go in and give this a background here. Just to distinguish it. I'm gonna go with a white background maybe. And let's give it some height here, just in case there's more content. Also, we would want to be consistent, right? So let's give it a pixel corner radius and our gray stroke. And here is the service done for this person. Let me just decrease the size here just a bit. Now we're almost done here. We just have to group some items here. This is the content of the section, or the main, you can say. We also, actually, let's decrease this too big. Let's just go around 24 or 32 maybe. Pixel gap, maybe 64. Yeah, and central line it. We can either do this. Could we do this maybe? I think I like this layout here. Pretty much like this layout. So I'm just gonna have it like this for now. And let's decrease this to 32. Okay, great. So now what I want to do here is want to go and group it with the header and name this testimonials. So this is the testimonial section, right? Obviously, let's move it down here. We're having it in the order. Notice when we build, we have this grid lines here to separate from the ends, and we are keeping within it every time except for here, obviously. That's just basically because it's a carousel animated item which moves from left to right or right to left. But except for that exception, we are keeping within it. So here we want 48 pixels, right? So just keeping consistent with everything that's happening so far. And we want to give this 96 pixels again, just being consistent. So your design will be professional as consistent as it is. So if you use different colors for each section, different fonts and different spacings, it will feel bad. But if you have a clear system of consistent design styles, it would be much more professional and it will look much better. Uh, so that's it for today's uh, video here. Uh, we're going to be working on the pricing section next up, and we're going to be finishing the desktop design with the footer after that. So only two sections remain in the web design here before we make it responsive. So the first section we're going to be building of those two sections is the pricing section. And we're going to be finishing off the desktop design with the footer section. Now, the pricing section, right? So let's first give ourselves a bit more space again. So the pricing section, obviously it's a section on its own, meaning we would have to get this header. But there is a bit of a difference here, which is after we duplicate and bring it here, we actually don't need the call to action, because the call to action, sorry for this, the call to action is supposed to take us to the pricing section. So whenever we click any of these 1, 2, 3, 4 call to actions, we should be transferred to this pricing section. So this pricing section is the call to action section on its own. So we don't really need a call to action there. We just want to have a headline. A header here, also headline that is. Then let's change up the content here. I'm just gonna copy and paste some of the content here. And here it should be not like that. Okay, it should be just simple, transparent pricing. And we will take this, make it pricing. Okay. And just replace it here. Okay, great. Obviously I don't want it to be like this. I want the transparent part to be okay. Instead here, let's do it from the inner one. Okay, great. So this will be our simple headline, and we're going to be creating a sort of an interesting pricing section cards here. So there will be two pricing section cards. First of all, what do we need? We need a name for the plan, right? So we're going to have two plans and we're going to need a name. The first one is the basic plan, okay? The basic plan. Right here, the basic plan, let's make it 16 pixels here, semi-bold. Let's have it in a frame and call it title. And no cap, but 16 by 16, I think, would be the best choice here. Also, we're going to give it some 8 pixel cordon radius. Let's give it a white fill followed by a stroke of our stroke color, which we've been using also. So this would be the basic plan. And we'll need a pricing for it. So the price would be in dollars, 0 per year. Okay, sorry, 0 per year, meaning it's the free plan. So we have to create some distinction here. The first thing we want to do is we want to go and make it extra large, or actually large serif. Okay, then we want to select this part and we want to make it a small, here where it is a small regular text. So the price should be the biggest, sort of the biggest whole visual hierarchy element, and this should be just supporting. And we're gonna emphasize that by making this gray and by making this our brand color. Okay, so that's nice here. Uh, Next up, we're gonna be needing to provide a simple description. I'm just gonna paste it here, the description here, or just this is the text. I'm pasting much of the text here because like it's just writing text. I'm just gonna save you some time now so that you understand most of the concepts here. We don't really need to get so much in depth into writing and why we write the stuff we write. So obviously there needs to be a description. Then we need uh probably gonna be needing a button, right? So let's just get that button from here. The get started button. Now the get start you can change it. Sign up for plan. I think that's a better text to have here. Through context, of course. Now we're gonna be needing an icon to like indicate each feature, right? So in a pricing a card, you always need to indicate your features. So we're going to be needing an icon, which is a check mark. Hey, let's just go to icons here. Let's make this black. And this should be basically check icon. Hopefully it's outline stroke, okay. Then here, let's just increase the size maybe, height maybe 6. And we're gonna create a component out of it. And we're gonna copy it here. Go to designs. And from designs here, uh, we're gonna be just pasting it here and putting it in putting it in a sort of frame here just to have it in a circle. Okay. So we're gonna call this feature indicator. So it's just a indicator. 24 by 24 I think would be enough here. No gap, no padding, nothing here. Just central line it and give it a fill. Again, the fill would be our brand color, and the color here would be white. Also it should be rounded, right? So it's 999, full rounded. Yeah, okay. So if we say that here, we might be able to make this a bit more interesting. If we go on to the gradients here, we might be able to say 0, create this fading effect for each icon here. Mm. Uh, just to create something more interesting. Sorry. Just create something more interesting. Here we're gonna try to add this fading effect, and maybe we can use um one of these, maybe even the gray, just to create some separation. Now you have to ask yourself, is this visible enough? Like it doesn't have to be too visible, but I think it's worth just having it being uh there. So I don't think this would work, but the good thing here is that we experimented, right? So now instead what we can do here is we can go with the secondary color here, the secondary brand color, which if I zoom out is this one, and we can experiment with this. So now we don't need the stroke anymore. And this, I think, would make the design a bit more interesting. So we're going to be using that instead of just having a flat icon. So I would actually want to make this component. So let's just duplicate this. check indicator, we could say indicator. Control Shift R here. Let's call it a check indicator. So let's make a component. Let's copy it, go back to the size, and this is something we did. Sometimes we can just now paste it in. So now we have some features, right? I'm just gonna copy the text. Feel free to write them out, or you can grab the text from the Figma file that will be provided for you. This Figma file will be actually accessible to you. So sans, we're gonna be making this regular 40 pixels here, and we don't want this to be too big in comparison. So let's just decrease the size to 16, and let's just decrease the size maybe of this. Actually, we can go a bit higher than 16, 20. 20 looks fine here. Okay, so now we want to take this, group it, and we're going to call this feature, right? So it's one of the features of the plan. So we're going to call it feature. And let's go 16 pixels gap. Or maybe it's too further apart, so let's go 8 pixel gap, or let's go in between, which is 12, 10, 8. Okay, let's go back to 8. Sometimes you just have to eye stuff, okay? So it's not always about principles, and there isn't always a rule for everything. You just have to eye some stuff and decide on your own. So I'm just going to duplicate this a couple of times here. I'm just going to paste in some of the different features here. Here, and 2 more are left. And let's paste this in. And now we can take everything here and group them into the features. The features. And finally, we can just give them some spacing here in between them. 24, I think, is a good size of spacing. Okay, we're almost done here, almost done. So what we want to do now is we want to take everything here and group it. Not together, obviously. There are levels of connectivity. So we want to take these two, and since this have some line heights, I'm going to leave it like this, but I'm going to add 4 more, or 2 more actually, just to give it some extra spacing. Following that, this will be the header, and not the header, actually, this will be the content of the header, and we're going to group it here into 16 here, or 24 actually. And this will be the actual header. And let's take this, and let's group it with this one, right? So now we want to have like a certain gap, 32, or 24. The reason is I'm going to use this button as a separator. So first, for that, I will make this fill container. I'll central line this one. Now the button is the actual separator, as you can see here. So now we're going to go in and add some padding, 16 by 16 padding here. And notice like this overflowing, and we don't really want that. So we're gonna take all of these elements here and make sure they are filling the container. Meaning if they have to wrap, they wrap. Yeah. Okay, but we're going to give them enough space for them to not have to wrap. Now I'm gonna go into this and go this pricing. And after that, you can see I didn't include this, and that is done on purpose. I'm gonna be including it in a moment. First of all, let's give it a white fill on the background and a stroke around gray 800, and a corner radius would be around 8. Okay. Now, since we did 8 on that, I would decrease this to 6, obviously, since this is a special case. Now, it's almost done, it's almost complete, but we have to incorporate this too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here actually. First, let's give it gray 300 here, and let's make this black color. And let's create a style for this gradient. We're gonna call it checkmark garage. I think now we can go here and apply it. Okay. So now let's go here, and on the padding, I'm gonna give it some top padding, 32, just making it bigger. Now I'm gonna drag this in. Okay, I'm gonna drag it in, but I'm gonna give it to ignore auto layout. So now we will just place it right here. Okay, first it should be in. Okay, here. Then should. Okay, should. Let's try to align it. Okay, and center it. Great. So now we need a bit more space here for it, but actually this is quite fine. We just need to increase the spacing just a bit. I'm gonna go 36 here, and now we have a bit more space. And this header now, this title is much better visibly. So here we can also increase it to see how it looks, and I quite like this one. So I'm just gonna keep it like this. So this will be our pricing. Uh, Obviously though, it feels bland, it feels boring. So let's make it a bit more interesting actually. The way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna take a circle. I'm gonna drag like a sphere, circle, an oval. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just gonna rotate it then. I'm gonna put it in. I'm gonna call this the accent. This is just gonna be something interesting for the design. And let's just increase the size here. And let's center it. Okay, here, around here. Policy should be at the back. Now we're not gonna give it a fill. We're actually gonna be giving it a fill, sorry. Okay, so the fill will be a gradient. But before that, we need a frame within this here. This frame should be the accent container. And this frame would have to ignore auto layout, and we're gonna place it covering the whole here container. Then we're gonna put this in, and now as you can see it's at the back, so let's just put it at the back here. And the reason I did that is to cut it off here. Now you might be asking, if you're experienced with Figma, you might be asking why not just clip content here. And the reason for that is this would also be clipped. So that's the reason. So instead now we have to go here, the accent container. Let's give it some corner radius to show the corner radius. Okay, great. So now we're not going to be leaving the accent like this. But instead we're going to go white and white. And here this white would actually have the color this, and it's not going to be linear gradient, it's going to be radial gradient. Okay, we're going to have it something like this. Okay, we're going to have something like this here. Let's just rotate it a bit. Let's move it up. Okay, so now it's too visible and it's distracting from the content. So we're going to go to effects and layer blur. Okay, and we're going to add the layer blur here just to make it a background accent. So I'm going to go 128 here, 128. This should give this cool effect, but still make it visible, and it's still super visible. So I'm just going to decrease maybe to 50 or 75 here. And if we do that, let's actually decrease. Let's go 64. And I think that's visible enough. Now I would like to create some separation here. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to give this some bottom corner radius, so bottom padding actually, and I'm gonna give it some stroke. Here the stroke should be quite visible, maybe this color, and it should only be at the bottom. And now this should separate them, but this is too dark, I think. Maybe we can go with the default one, right? We would wanna adjust this accent a bit more. So maybe we can center it like this. We can have it like this, centered on the top. And this, I think, has a pretty cool effect on it. It has a pretty cool effect. Everything is visible. And we're going to be just following with this. So this will be our pricing, one of our pricings. So this will be for the basic one. I'm just gonna copy this, make it into a component. Here. And this would be pricing, right? Pricings. Control Shift R here. This will be a component, and we're gonna add a variant for it for the secondary type of pricing. This is this variant 2 is actually premium for the premium plan, premium, and this will be for the basic or the default. Okay, now we want to go here. Or obviously, let's say I'll search 64 by 64, as we've been doing throughout the whole website. And yeah, the gap is not showing completely because of this, but it's fine now. Here we can just go into the premium and add some adjustments. We're going to be adding a new color which we haven't been using so much. It's actually, I have the hex code for it, but let's try to get it to duplicate that color. So it's a shade of this color, and it's just going to be a darker one. Okay, so this will just add some more points of visual interest, and here the color would pop up the premium plan much more, and that's what we want. We don't want to sell the basic plan. If possible, we always want to sell the premium plan. So here from $0 we want to go $19, and here we want to go 99, 19.99. That is 20. So we just want to do this. Okay, so after that, for now, actually, let's just remove this. Let's make it invisible, just for now. And we're gonna make this white, and we're gonna make the rest. Okay, we're gonna make this white, and we're gonna use gray 800, the border color, which is actually pretty nice color for this too. Now we would select this one, and we would create a new style for it. We're gonna make it white first of all. We're gonna take this, we're gonna make it black. We're gonna take this, we're gonna change the gradient here. Actually, we're gonna change it to be from a white to a black. Not actually full black, actually. We can use this color itself. So this would be the BTN icon gradient grad dark, then icon grade dark variation. We would select this one, and again we want this to be subtle, so we might try gray 800, or we will actually need a new color for this probably. So we're just going to select this one, actually we don't need a new color since we want this to just pop up. I think the gray 800 works fine here. Yeah, do we even need the stroke? What if we remove it? I think that's visible enough. So let's just remove this and this here. Okay. And yeah, we're gonna change this too. So we're gonna need to make this from white color, really white color here. So our accent instead. And this will be a new style, which is we said checkmark grad, and this time this will be checkmark grad dark. Okay, then let's just select all of the black colors here and make them white, and that should be almost done. Actually, we need to finish with the gradient here, and we don't want it to stand out as much. Obviously this looks good on its own. It has like a shining effect, but that's not what I'm going for in this design. So let's just return it to the darker one. And the blue actually here is pretty nice, so we're just gonna keep it. So these will be our two pricing elements, right? So the basic one and the premium one. So obviously the premium one would take much more visual hierarchy, so it'll be much more visible. So that's why what we want to go back to design now, and Control Shift R to replace this with the component. And let's just duplicate this. Let's have it side by side, and this pricing will actually be the secondary premium plan. And I'm actually gonna just change. I'm gonna go back to components and change the number of these. One thing I forgot actually. One thing I forgot here. Here for the check marks, instead of white, we would want to use black here, or if not black, the color. Okay, which we haven't really set here. So it's this color. This should be the darkest blue, I think. So this would be blue 100. And let's go back to first. Let's set it here. Here, let's make this the blue, and let's just copy it and select all of these and Control Shift R to replace them. And we're gonna go to brand and systems, and we're gonna add the final color here. Let's just duplicate this. This is gonna be the blue 100. And actually, we have to get these in the same line, 32, and they will go from this lighter one to the darker one. This. So these are our color styles. You can see we have very minimal color styles and very minimal fonts. So we're not just randomly splashing fonts right and center. We just have a very restricted amount, which is what you want. You don't want to use many different sort of font sizing, fonts, colors, not and colors, I mean. So you want to be restrictive of yourself in that way. We're gonna call this the blues. And let's go back to the design now. Actually to components here. And let's change this text. So the first one would be everything in basic. Okay. Here, everything in basic. So here, this would be unlimited digital assets inventory. I'm gonna take this, duplicate it, paste it, I mean, this one, this one, and for some reason, let's take this, it should fill the container. And let's duplicate the final one, and let's add one more. Okay, so now if we just finish off and go back to the designs, we would have this, and we would have to group them. Obviously central alignment, but we want the height to be filled, right? So we want this to be same, even if there is more content here. We don't want this to be shorter. We want there to be empty space here, which is fine, completely fine. And yeah, here this will be the plants. We're gonna have 24 pixel gap in between them, as we always do. We're gonna take these two, not actually only those two. We're gonna need one last text here. We're gonna have this text. All plans, including secure data transition, regular backup, and SSL encryption, peer subscription, are billed annually, cancelled anytime. So this is something just legal. It's not something you have to know. Probably your client, if you're working as a freelancer, would tell you to include it. Uh, okay, sorry for that here. I'm having battery issues here. Okay, yeah, we're almost done here. We have to just take everything here and group them, and it's gonna be 48 pixels, as we have been doing all throughout. Here though, we're gonna have to compensate for that, and we're gonna have an additional top padding of like 24 pixels. And the reason we're doing that is basically because we don't want this to overlap. So yeah, it's almost done. Let's just name it pricing section. So the pricing section is very sleek, very minimal, but does the job quite well. And we're gonna take it in here. From here, obviously, should be 96 pixels as always. So notice that this is 96, this is 96, and this is 96. And now this is 96. So we wanna also central line it to the page, and let's just decrease this. So far, very nice here. We have the hero section, the explainer video, we have the features, testimonials, pricing, and next up we're going to be finishing off the whole website's desktop design with the footer section. And I believe that is enough for this video. So now we're going to be finishing off the desktop redesign by creating the footer section. Now we have created around 4 or 5 sections already, and the footer is a constant for every website, meaning it's something that every website should include. It's a way for providing additional navigation, some branding, and some marketing, providing legal and social media information, uh, and other links that won't have a space in the overall landing page design. So we're going to be starting by creating the footer today. So while we create the footer, we always need an identity. So this is the identity section here. We'll always need an identity, and I'm just going to copy it and make it into a component since we are going to be reusing it. So let's just duplicate this one, bring it over here, identity, and I believe we have it on the navbar, so we'll have to replace it there. So let's just put it here first, and yeah, let's just go, and after copying it, let's go to the navbar and replace the identity section here. Okay, great. So we're gonna continue on down here. One thing to note is that the footer will be of a different background, and that is a convention we use most of the time, just to separate it from the rest of the content and show how much of a difference the section actually has in its purpose. So I'm gonna use this rectangle. It's gonna be a temporary rectangle, just to figure out the color scheme. Then I'm gonna delete the rectangle afterwards. So we're gonna be using the blue 100 dark colored, which we started using on the pricing section right here. So very simply, we're gonna be using that. And now you can see we have to make some changes to this identity section, right? So you have to go to the components, and it's better to create a dark themed for this. So this will be for the dark, and the default one would be for the light backgrounds and themes. So first, let's go here. I would change the stroke obviously to purple. That's our primary color. I'm gonna go add auto layout 32, 64 by 64, and I'm just gonna grab this one and I'm gonna make some changes or the dark one, right? I'm gonna go here. This should be white. This should work better with this one, I think. We're gonna have to change that if that's not the case. Uh, and let's apply it here. It seems visible enough for me. So we're just gonna be using this variation. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Then we need just a small tagline, a small something, some text just to describe the company, and a selling point, right? So I'm gonna have just a small text here. Secure your digital legacy with protect. Sorry, and protect what matters most. So we have this small text right here. It's going to be 14 regular and it's going to be gray 800, which is what we've been using for less visible text. Obviously, you have to make sure it's visible, still has enough contrast, but we don't really want it to have too much visual hierarchy. Okay, so we want to take these two now. And here I would want to group these two into brand exposure section, or let's just say brand. And around 16 pixel would be enough to separate them. Okay, that's one part of the footer done. Obviously, you have some way to go. Here I'm gonna just copy this. Get started call to action. I'm just gonna paste it here. Let's just move it down. Okay, we have this call to action, right? So we always need a call to action on every section, pretty much, because we want maybe the user will decide to buy the product while the user is on the footer. That's what you have to think of. And finally, we would have uh, some social media links, right? So follow us on. So then we would have this, by the way, 16 pixels and semi-bold. And then we would have some social medias, right? So we're gonna be providing 3 links, one for X. Let's just paste it in the assets. I'm gonna go create a new one here. Logos. Okay, one for X, Control Shift R, I think, Control to replace. One for X. Another one would be for LinkedIn. And the final one would be for Reddit. Okay, so let's just make sure it's side by side. Then let's make all of them into components. Let's just copy the X here. Let's paste it in. You can see it's just a bit of gray, which is completely fine. Yeah, sorry about that. It's completely fine here. Uh, then we follow up with the LinkedIn uh icon, which is under brands. Under assets here. We can just, I think, copy them all by holding Shift. Copy both of them. Go back to designs and just paste them in. Okay, now we have these 3. They all have 30 West 30 heights in relation to their outer border, that is, which is fine. So let's just group them. And goes around 24 pixel gap in between them, or maybe we can even decrease that to 16. Okay, 16 seems fine. Now just going to be socials, follow CTA. Okay, now let's just group them around 24 pixels here, or 16. I think even works here. That's nice. Okay, so we have completed another section. Now I want to group this section. This is going to be the top part here. And with this actually, we can name it the header instead of top. And here, okay, by the way, this should be 32 pixels, I think. And here, this would be the brand info. Okay, yeah. So let's make this gap also. And let's place it here, and we're gonna return for it. Now we're gonna need some links. The first group of links would be for supports. So I'm gonna have this 14 pixels semi-bold. Let's just duplicate this. And then that'll be 40 pixel regular. So under support, there's the FAQs, security, and customer support. Okay. So now we take all of these, group them inside of a frame, call them links. And actually, let's give this 24 pixel gap. Maybe we can go 16 and say that this being an indicator is obvious. The way we make it more obvious actually is by going here and making the color gray. Okay, now this is super obvious, so we don't really need to do anything more. So let's just duplicate it and change some of these legal. This will change to privacy. So these are elements that are most common in any website. So most websites would just have these links, like privacy terms, stuff like that. Okay. Yeah, we will need, let's add two more actually. Let's go company. This is just describing the brand, sign in, contact. Yeah, and let's just duplicate it for the last time. Uh, Here we don't need the security here. Looking at it. So here we need, let's just put X or Twitter. Like we need this just in case. Like some people recognize the text faster. So it's just a good thing to have here. And we will provide additional secondary links like Facebook and Instagram are not primary social media platforms for the company, but it's worth having, so we're gonna include it here rather than there. So now we just take this. First of all, you have to make sure everything is hot content. Okay. Then we take these and link groups. Yeah, almost done here. 64, some separation between them. And yeah, almost. So now we have to take these two, group them. Gonna be top aligning them with auto spacing, which is correct here. And yeah, here I'm gonna name this the main part of the footer. And here uh we're gonna have some copyright information here. We're just gonna have this text. It was just gonna be very light, regular, actually. Then we're gonna have two more links. For the privacy. These are constant, by the way. And terms of services. And let's group these two. These are the final links around 32 that between them. And let's group it with this auto spacing. Everything's right here. Should be the final links, and this would be the copyrights legal. Okay. Now we have to just do one thing, which is just take these two, group them. There won't be any spacing in between them. I'm gonna show you why in a moment. We're gonna take this and call it the footer section. And this will have to fill the container. And now it would have some padding here. About 32. And here this would have some padding too. Around, I'm thinking to have around 32 on top and bottom, and 64 on the sides here. So this would also have 64 on the sides. Just bring them in, and now we can go here over here and give this a stroke. And a stroke color, I think, could be around gray 300. And let's just put it at the bottom here. And let's see how that looks. Okay, let's just see how that looks here. Maybe we, instead of here, we want to change this to be gray 800. Okay. Here, instead of this gray 800, maybe we can try the blue 200. Okay, maybe let's just experiment with it here just a bit. Maybe a white here. That's too contrasty. So I don't really want to use the white. Maybe we're gonna need a new color for it, which is this the final section. I don't really want it to be high contrast. Actually, let's go here and just select. I think that's a good color to use. So here's this 800. The whites would be here. This, I'm gonna name it. So this will be a bluish color. Around grayish, gray blue. It's a mix. Gray, blue. Not too here, gray, blue. And this would be a pretty dark, but not that much. So around 300, sorry. And we would have to register this into our brand system. Here, where would we register it? Let's just duplicate this. Gray, blue, sorry. Here, gray, blue. I'd say 300, I believe. No, we need a stroke, and that's it. Okay. So let's just finish off this design here. Now we're gonna go here to the temporary one and going to delete it. Now, since we have our preferred brand color here, we're gonna go and apply blue to it. Also gonna apply some corner radiuses, the same we did here, which is 24. And because of consistency, obviously, we always want to be as consistent as possible. Here I'm gonna go and give it a bit more on the side, on the top and bottom, so around 40. Yeah, okay, that looks very nice. We're almost finished here. Let's just drag it to fill out the space. Here, let's just decrease it. Okay. Okay, that's quite enough, I think, for the footer section. Now, the only thing remaining is to make it a bit more interesting. And I'm going to decide to use the accent here. Let's just duplicate it, bring it over here. And I want this to fill out this container. The action container should fill out everything here. It should be in the not in the link group, but on the main part here. Yeah, okay, it should have alignment. Now we can just make it bigger. Okay, make it a whole lot bigger. And around here, I think looks brilliant. Yeah, one thing we don't want it to cut off right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this, put it right here, actually, and just. Hmm. So okay, we actually have to just make this longer. Okay. Okay, so this is completely visible. Maybe the border here is not going well with the color, but I think it's enough. So we can just maybe make it a bit lighter, the border here actually, instead of this color. I'm gray 300 even. Do we even need a border since I think there's enough separation? I think that looks better though. We're gonna keep the new color style that we just created. But I don't think we're gonna use it much. Let's go here. And obviously this should fill out the container. And the container actually here could just clip the content here. Yeah. And that is it. That is our footer section, which I think came out pretty nice. So we are finishing off here by just positioning it correctly. Here it's just should be not 96 pixels because it's not a real section with huge separation. Around 64 I would go. And here just some separation here. Around here. Okay. So finally, after all that hard work, we have finished the landing page desktop variation. Next up, we're going to be starting to work on the new section. The new layout, which is the mobile layouts. I think we're going to spend 1 or 2 more videos on that before finishing the course. Really hope you're learning a lot here. Yeah, so that's thing all for today. I'm going to be continuing with the responsive design. So last time we finished working on the landing page design for the desktop by creating the final part, which was the hero section right here. Today we're going to be starting creating the responsiveness by creating a mobile layout. Now I'm going to go click F on my keyboard as always, and I'm going to go to the phone section, which is probably on top, and I'm going to select just iPhone 16, which is a baseline here, and its width is 393 by a height of 852. So I'm going to call this landing page mobile. Okay, so the landing page mobile section here. Now what we're gonna do what we're gonna do here is just take this layout here and change it into a mobile version. Now we will be working on 1, 2, 3, and probably 4 sections today, and the rest we're gonna be finishing off next time. So let's start maybe 3 today even, we don't know. So let's start by creating this for the navbar, right? So we need a new component variant for the navbar because we need like the mobile and the desktop version will not be the same, obviously. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these just to move them down just to give ourselves a bit more of space here. Let's just create a new variant. This will be for mobile. This will be for desktop here. Desktop. Now, obviously, I want to go here. And as we've been doing so far, let's just change this. Let's go over to the auto layout section, add auto layouts. Sorry, 64 by 64 by 32 here. Okay. Now, working on the mobile section is pretty simple here. We just have to remove these, okay? Let's just remove these. And this too. Now, one thing to know is when you change a design from desktop to mobile, you are now basically taking out content, taking out value. You are rearranging it and making it fit a smaller screen size. So you have to you have to make sure that you are certainly not decreasing any value. People using your website on the mobile should have all the value provided to them as the people using it on a desktop. So we're not going to be just removing this. We're going to be changing the layout so that it's easier to incorporate this into a smaller screen size. The way we're going to be doing that is by using a hamburger icon, menu icon. Let's just create it here. It's very simple. It's just a couple of rectangles. I'm going to make them rounded. Uh, Probably going to be using black here. Okay, around 48 by 8 here. Okay, let's just save these. So let's call these the lines, line 1, line 2, line 3 here. Let's take all of these, Shift A, maybe 6 here. And this will be our menu, right? So obviously let's make it into color selection. Let's take this, cut it, go to assets actually, and go back to icons and just paste it in here. Okay. Obviously it's a bit too large currently, so we would have to decrease I would have to decrease its width. Uh, hmm, okay. Yeah, let's just turn it here. We want everything here to fill the container, right? So now when we resize it, it should resize correctly. Now let's just resize it to 24 maybe. Maybe we also don't want to change the width, the height, I mean. So fixed. Actually, after on this, we can just create copy as SVG and Control Shift R, paste as SVG. Now we can just do this perfectly. Okay, so we're gonna go 16 pixels here. We're gonna componentize it and copy it. We're gonna go back to the design section here. Actually, not designs, rather components. And we're gonna add it here. Very simple. Now we have our mobile nav. Now, the simplest way of accomplishing value here is to have a model where you click here and this will show up. Now, this course is not covering models here. I'm thinking to cover models and stuff like that, more UI elements in the future with more in depth. But I just want to show you just the outer landing page without any inner interactions from the user. So I'm not going to be covering that, but I really encourage you to experiment and like try to understand models and create your own pop-up model here. Okay, yeah. So we're just going to be taking this, we're going to be duplicating this. Let's just duplicate it, bring it over here, and from desktop to mobile. And the mobile should have a grid system, right? So we're going to change it to columns. The same one we used here, actually, pretty much. From grids to columns, 12. And here we'll need our rulers back again. Let's just make sure we're aligning it perfectly here. Okay, let's just go here and add the other ruler, and now we can just remove this. Yeah, so now we have this navbar and we can just place it correctly here from both sides. Okay, nice. Now we have to center it and put it at the top. Now, obviously, this is too big, so we have to change it. Just a bit here. Let's take this. Uh, let's take this and okay, it's fixed width, and we don't really have to change that. But this one we do have to change, so it has to be 16 and 14. From 16 to 14, right? So there is a clear downgrading points, right? From 16 to 14, all the 14s will become 16s, sorry, 12s, and all the 64s, 48s. There's a clear guideline for that. So we're just going to be accomplishing that here. Just make sure it's small. Okay, so it's changed. Okay, great. Now we will be working on the hero section, which should not be too difficult. First, let's just take everything here, duplicate them, and bring it over here, okay? Let's just take everything here. Let's make this longer, but let's take everything as it is. Okay, so what are our components? This is a component, for example. So we can, before that actually, let's just resize everything to fit the layout. Okay, here and here, okay? Then we take this here. From the testimonials will have a different field to them. We're going to select all of them and remove them. Okay, and this now should be central lined. This should also central lined. So here the thing is we only want to show one testimonial, and through an interval this will be just changing. Okay, this testimonial will be changed to all the others, and that's because we don't have that much space to work with. So it's better to do it this way. But we're not decreasing any value. Notice here, everything's still the same. We're just focusing on changing the way we are putting our content out. Here, okay. Now it's all about changing the sizes here, right? We're gonna go here from 16 or 14. The gap, you're gonna decrease it to around 8. And here we're gonna change the 14 to 12. And this is a new font style. This is the smallest font style we'll have. Sans, extra small here, and just going to be regular. So let's just create that. Let's go over to the brand. Here, instead of small, we'll say extra small. Let's just change it to extra small. Yeah, great. So now we're going to change this padding. Most of the 16 will become 12 on the padding side. And now let's drag it in here just to fill it out. Now we don't want this to overflow. We want this to fill the container. And this will be our new banner. Okay. Yeah, let's move on. This is too big, right? So this is currently the extra large variation here, which will going to be changed to 48 here. And instead of extra large, this will be sans. So this will be large, I think. No, okay, we already have large, so it's going to be medium, extra large, and regular. Right, we're just going to apply this here too. Okay. Also, what we have to do, let's go back from brand and design here. Let's include it right here. Medium, large. Okay. Let's go here, extra large. Actually, we want to change something, which is the line height shouldn't be 72, rather it should be 48. Okay. Then this would gonna be medium, extra large. Okay. Right, so we have it here. Now we can go back. And here we want to take this. And it is currently at 72. And instead of 72, we want to go into 64 maybe. 64 and my 64 here. 64 I think still is too big, so 52. 52. Right. Yeah, 52 probably works best in this case. So this would be serif, medium, extra large, or italic. Let's go to components here. Not components, sorry. Branded systems. Here, there's going to be medium, extra large. So it's going to be around 52, right? Okay, even though it's going to be around 52, here we want to go and make one more adjustment, which is just to decrease the line height to work better. Let me go also here. Okay. Now here, this should be also as well. Okay. And let's actually just take this part here and let's use our variable, right, that we just created. I'm seeing too much line height here for some reason. Let's just check it out. Let's okay. Let's unselect everything here. Okay. Okay, it's the problems from this one. Here. Okay. Let us select this one here and go in and decrease the line height. Okay. Okay, let's okay, around here 52, even 52 works fine here. The problem is not here, but rather it's here, okay? So what if we make this, if everything here should be this right here, okay? Great, which is working fine. And now we have just regular sizing here. Obviously, it might look a bit too big, but since we already have the space, there's no issues there. We're gonna go around here and change this to be 12. Here, we want to change the buttons. Actually, is it worth it to have... Yeah, okay. The best way to do it is to remove the icons. So we're gonna go to primary and just decrease. We have to actually create a new one for it. Components, let's go up here. And primary, there's gonna be a new variant for this. Primary mobile. And it would have 24 by 12. And it's just gonna have some decreased size. Okay, here we're going to do the same. Add a new variant for this, and it's going to be secondary. mobile. And it's going to be 24 by 12. And it would have a smaller text too. So around 14 again. Let's go back to the design, and here let's change these out. Let's use primary mobile and secondary mobile. Okay. Now let's go in here and decrease this to 12. Here, I think these spacings are fine as they are. Okay. Here we have to change this. Let's go to components and select our testimonials component and add a new variant. It's going to be for desktop. Actually, let's take this first. Side by side. 32, 64 by 64. It's going to be for mobile. Let's just move these up. Okay, the differences that we're going to be making are not too big, very subtle. From medium large, which is 20, we want to decrease it to this 16. 16 regular. Don't we have that actually? Okay, we don't. So first, let's just change that, and we're going to create that style. We're going to go to 12 here. Let's also change this to 12. And here we're going to change this into 16. Regular. So I'm going to be creating sans medium regular, which is surprisingly something we didn't really have until now. Then we're going to go to brand and system. We're just going to add it. Medium regular. Actually, we have it. Sans medium regular. We have it. So we can use that actually. Here we instead, let's just change this to the mobile version. That's all. It's very subtle, but now it fits the design a whole lot better. So now this is the hero section. Then let's move on, and this should be pretty simple here. Okay, let's bring it here. Let's take out our rulers and let's bring it inwards. Okay. Let's take out this one too and bring it inwards. Here, this is doing quite well actually, but let's still decrease it maybe from large. We have a medium size for it. From 56, we can go medium extra large here actually. Let's do that here too. Medium extra large, which was here. And here it should also be medium extra large for the serif font. It's okay, so this should also be medium extra large. Size medium extra large. Okay. Extra large. Okay. So now since we have this, you might even consider making them fully medium extra large here. I think that works better, a bit more realistic, right? I think though we can use this. I think it's fine. It would be nice if we could just change the lining here. No, let's look into changing that actually. Let's just select our variables for medium extra large for both the serif. And let's try to change this maybe to 48. and 48. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that made a big difference. Okay, okay. Is it two sides? Yeah, maybe from 48, you can increase it to 52. To 52 again. I think that's fine. Okay, that's great. Okay, now we're making some real progress. We want this to fill the containers. Always we want them to make this quite the small text. We'll be using this primary mobile version. And here, this went through some distortion. Yeah, it's good to have this shape. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna decrease its border radius here. And I'm also gonna decide to just decrease this, right? So let's make this 96 on both sides. And let's make this here. And the corner radius would be changed to around 6 actually. And that's it. Now, obviously, the people are not going to watch the video in this resolution. It's going to grow and take the full screen when they click on play. So no problem there. Let's try to finish out this section quickly here. Okay. Yeah. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to drag it in from both sides. We're going to drag this inwards too. We're going to take this, we're going to drag it in. We're going to take this, make it fill the container. And we're going to change this in a minute here. We're going to change everything here from large to medium large. No, medium extra large. And here to medium extra large, the serif variation as well. I'm gonna make this fill the container and also gonna change it to a smaller size. And finally, change this to primary mobile. Now we're getting the hang of it. Now it's becoming very simple. And actually, here we can what we can do is we can take the feature section and remove the two cards. Actually, the easiest way would be to change them into a stack here, a stackable vertical stack here. It's just this all the space we need now. Okay. So now it will be like this, but we have to make some changes, obviously. Obviously here, all of them should fill a container, right? And let's make the components work for smaller screen sizes as we did for the previous ones, right? It's very simple here. I'm gonna add variant, it's gonna be mobile. It's gonna be desktop. And we're gonna take the cards, we're gonna put them side by side here with auto layout 32, 64 by 64. And put them side by side. Okay. Now let's move them up. Let's go to the mobile one here. It's very simple changes. This is going to be from medium. It's going to be smaller. We're going to also take this to 32 here. And let's just also decrease the size here to around 12. We're going to also take this, we're going to make it from regular to regular, small actually here. Yeah, that's all we have to do. Let's just now go around and just apply that change. Desktop to mobile. Okay. Now everything's changed here. And I believe that's it for today, this video. And the only thing we have to do now is to just manage the spacing in between the sections. So I'm going to go 48 here. I hear it was 96, but here I'm going to go 64 in between. Okay, around 64 here, right here. and here from the navbar should be 48. From the navbar 48. So let's just get it closer. Actually, it's 36. Now remembering. Now let's retract this. Very simple. Again, very simple. Let's just check it out here. We have a hamburger menu and placing the other content. Obviously, you have to make sure that this is actually functional and it has other modals, some modals here. That's something for you to practice on your own. We have a hero section, more minimal. We have the video section, followed by the feature section, which is stackable. Okay, great. So that would be all for this video. Next time, I'm going to be finishing off the other parts, other sections of the responsive design. So we're going to be finishing off this course here by finishing the mobile redesign, the mobile design of this desktop version here. So just to continue with developing these 3 sections right here, I'm just going to give ourselves a bit more space here. Okay. Then let's start from here, and instead of basically just doing the same, duplicating this here, I'm just gonna duplicate this here, okay? And the reason for that is because we have already finished working on the structure here, so let's just paste it in. Obviously, this has to be changed from 14 to 12. Again, Figma just copies text styles, by the way. So you have to make sure that you are correct when copying. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna write this out. Use through difficult times. And I'm just gonna write, instead of this, I'm just gonna say supporting. Let's just cut this part out. Go up top here. Paste here. Okay. Let's just bring out the rulers. Center it perfectly here. Yeah, and we are ready to go. So how are we gonna do this? I want to show this first, then this would be supporting this. Okay, so this is the user that got the service. These are the services. So I want to show the services first. So here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna just first let's actually take this part, the whole thing. Control Shift R here. And let's go with this. Yeah, it's vertical alignment. Here I'm going to change this to mobile version, and I'm going to center everything out. Okay, great. So here I'm going to take this, I'm going to make it fill the container. And here we have a component. That means we have to go into the components, which is around here. Yeah, actually. So we have to create the version for it for mobile. So here this will be opened mobile. So it's very simple. We're not going to be changing much. This will be 12. So medium large 32. I'm gonna make it into pretty simple. Actually, we don't even need to change this one. Okay, that's the thing. We don't even need to change this one. I'm just gonna keep it there. But we're gonna be needing to change this because this is just an accent, and it could be how it already is. Let's make this smaller, and let's also make this a bit smaller here, around 14. And here let's make this a bit smaller to around 3 here. Okay, 3. Just make sure everything's central aligned, and yeah. Okay, so we need just to do the same for this one. So let's create a variant for it. Obviously also we don't need this much space, so 12 by 12 would be better. So let's create a new variant from this, and this will be for the closed mobile here, I think. And we're gonna move it down, and we're just gonna change this, right? So change the blue to be white. and the white here. Let's give it a stroke for primary color, and within here this should be black. Okay, and that should be it. Now I'm gonna go in and change it, but you might go back here and do some tweakings if needed. So yeah, basically we just want to go here, and from opened we just want to say open mobile, and yeah, this is the tweaking I was talking about. I think this is a bit too small, so let's just copy and paste Control Shift R here. Copy and Control Shift R. We don't really need that much space in reality. So open mobile here. Small. Okay, perfect. Closed. This should be closed mobile, and this closed would be closed mobile as well. Now we want to take this, make it fill the container. We want to get in here. That should fill the container as well, and it should also be of a smaller size here. And that's it pretty much. Let's just consider decreasing this a bit. Okay, this section is done. Very simple. Once you get one or two sections done, then you have the base to just go ahead and make everything work together fast. So it's very simple here. We will be going here and giving it 64 pixel gap in between the sections as we always do. And just to finish off the other sections, let's give ourselves a bit more space right here. Yeah, okay. So we're just gonna do the same here, but this time we don't have too much to change. So let's just get it in here. Let's place it right here and drag it in. Here, let's align it perfectly. Okay, great. Then let's make this fill container. Everything should fill the container here, and let's change the sizes here. Here this should all be medium extra large, I think. And here this should also be medium extra large for the serif version. Here we should change this to the smaller one. Okay, sorry, not that one, but this around here. What's left? Okay, now we have, before we actually do that, let's go back here and let's make this a smaller version. Okay. Okay, now we have to go here to the plants. Obviously, it should be filling the container, and let's stack them up here. Okay, so as always, as we always do, let's go to the components here. Let's go over to the pricings. Actually, we need some more space. So let's just get it down. Let's take this down here. We actually need a bit more space. Let's take this, adjust this for mobile. This doesn't actually need to be changed too much. It has all the space it needs, but we're going to change the text, obviously. Okay, just making the tweaks that we already have been doing. Padding should be 12, and the top padding we should decrease it to 24. So the large should be as we did before, medium extra large. And the small, we can actually leave the small here. It's already has this visual hierarchy, so no problem there. Changing it. Okay, this has to be a variant as a variable, so let's just make this quite small. And this one, I'm thinking that it was not applied to it, so let's make this the regular one here. Okay. here we have space for the icons and stuff like that. So, but just in case it gets quite small, we want to say primary, just primary mobile here. And here it's very simple. First we decrease the size, then let's actually focus here and make this smaller, around 16. And this, okay, we can just go there and give this extra padding here, around 4 by 4. This will get it nicely positioned. So now we take this, copy it, Control Shift R here, 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 here. We would say Control Shift R. Now let's select everything here. Okay, this should be the smaller size right here. Great. And let's just deal with some spacing here, which just let's make this 16. And we are almost done. Now the simplest way to do it would be, okay, so first let's name this. It's the basic, so this would be basic mobile. Here this would be premium, so this would be premium mobile. Did I misspell it? Yeah. Okay, here. Yeah, so let's move it down here. And we're just going to be changing the colors and the text, of course. So let's just do that. This be premium. And instead here, we're going to be using this color, right? So this would be the linear color. Haven't we registered it? So checkmark grad VTN icon, checkmark graphic this color. Okay, so yeah, we're just going to be changing some color stuff. Obviously making this white into the blue. Changing this gradient accent. Changing it here. Okay, we didn't register it. Okay, we do. It's an accent, so we probably taught us we don't really need to register it. So we're just gonna change it like this. Here, this text has to change 19.99 slash. Yeah, and we're just gonna select everything here and make this lighter, and let's make this white, full white. Okay, let's change this to the secondary one. Let's take this. Let's change this to be the lighter one. The white here should be this color and the black should be white. And I think that's it. Very simple changes. So now we have to go back to the design and we have to select this, changes from basic to basic mobile. Obviously we have to make it fill the container, and that's it. Obviously the height should also be hard content. Let's do the same here. Premium mobile, fill container, and hard content here. Okay, what we have to do then, the action should always be fill in the container, right? So let's take this. This pricing is 365. So let's go back to components. Accent container. This should be 365. No, okay, not there. Rather here. So container 365. And let's decrease the size here. Okay. Let's do the same here. The accent container should reach around 65. And this should also follow. Right. Right, this would be the mobile one. So that's working perfectly. Obviously now we do need some more space. So let's just do gap around 32 maybe, or 40, 48. Yeah, that looks fine. Okay, we are ready and almost here. Let's just, one thing remains, right? Okay, the only thing remains is to position it right here correctly. So 96, 64 actually. Great, great. And finally we have the footer. And the footer should actually be a component on its own. So let's take this as component. We make a footer component because it's a common element that we would use in all of our sections, our website pages, as we did Navbar, of course. So let's just copy it, make it after making it a component. So now you can see the purple outlines here. Let's go back here into the components. Let's add a variant here. This would be mobile and this would be desktop. And let's just go up here. Yeah, let's just add some. First, let's make this into the primary color. And let's give it 32 gap 64 by 64 as we always do in all our components here. Now this mobile, how are we going to handle this? First of all, we do need to decrease the size of many stuff. I'm going to leave this like this actually because it doesn't matter if it is decreased or increased. It has pretty much enough space always. I'm gonna go here though. I'm gonna select this, make it 12. I'm gonna make this into the primary mobile. Let's select these here. From 16, I'm gonna go to 14. Let's decrease the gap here as well and make these around 24. Let's go in here and decrease the gap to be around 32. Maybe 36 is better. And I'm gonna select all of these here. And from 14 semi-bold, we would take it to 12 semi-bold, but we don't really have that. So let's just stick these into 12. So let's just make that into a variable, right? So sans extra small, I think that's it. 12. Yeah, extra small, regular. Sorry, it's gonna be semi-bold. And let's just finish off here and we're gonna register it. Let's take everything here. And let's make it 14 to 12. Shit. Yeah, so let's just take this here from regular, we're going to change it to V12. And let's actually now go register the final font. This will be the final font style that we add here from all of these. So we have our 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And I think we have 14 styles here. Let's just change this to semi-bold here. Okay, now let's go back here into components. So let us actually make it smaller, 365, right? Great. So this will be the size. Obviously, we want everything to fill out the container. We will need to position the accent better. Let's just make it like this. Okay, great. That looks fine. Let's take the main, fill the container, obviously. Let's take this part actually here. Should be filled container, but should be top down. And the gap should be like 16. Central alignment. Actually, instead of 60, let's go 12. Here, 32 should be 24. Here, I think we fixed everything. Almost. So we have to just make this closer to each other for around 32 and hug. Yeah, right. So everything is coming along quite nicely. Here, we're gonna stack it top down, and we're gonna go with around 32 pixel gap. Since this is 32, actually, we will need more gap here. We're gonna go with 48. But we do have space, so maybe we return to 32. Okay, that looks good. That looks fine. And we're gonna make this fill container, and we're gonna try to make it wrap. Okay. Yeah. Uh. Okay. Let's make them fill the container here. Uh. Like this, so that there's a clear column here. Okay. Now we just want to align these actually. Okay, let's try a different approach here, where we basically just take all of these here and give them hard content spacing. And we take this, it should be 103, so this should also be 103. Okay, so now see there's a clear defined column here. And okay, this is actually fine. Now this actually shouldn't be 64, rather should be around 32. And this shouldn't be 40, but rather should be also 32. So it doesn't have the space to wrap still. So it's fine. Actually, it's not too bad. So this will be our footer, and we have to take this and put it inside of the mobile section here. So it's very simple now. All we have to do is duplicate it, bring it over here, and finally go into the variants here and make the mobile variant. So we're just gonna position it here, and it's filling the container. Copy 1 pixel is left, but we're gonna deal with that. So let's just central line it. Right, let's decide here. It's perfect here. Okay, great. Yeah. So now this will be our footer section. Yeah, pretty much like the only thing I'll change here is actually everything is left aligned here, but this is central aligned. So we either have to make everything left aligned or central aligned. Uh, okay, let's look into left alignment first. Okay. Actually, this should also be 32 by 32. Okay. Or the other way we can do it is to central line everything. Okay. Now if we do this, I think this looks much better if we take everything and central line it. Yeah, this pretty much looks better for the footer, mobile footer section. I would maybe decrease the size here, around 24. Well, 24, okay. And yeah, this is the footer. So the only thing that remains is to make the size proportional here. So let's go the same as here, right? So from the navbar it was 36. Here's total 2, it should be 36. Now finally, the last thing that we're going to be doing in this course is to make the size here proportional, and let's just check out the mobile version here. The hero section, obviously the video player, features, and this will be the testimonials. Pricing is followed by the footer, and this is what we build in this course, and that's everything that you need to know to get a better understanding of UI UX design and web design, and get from a beginner, total beginner, into an intermediate level. If you made it this far in the course, you should have the necessary knowledge required to start working as a web designer. Web design and UI UX design is a continuous learning experience, so you have to be open to improve your skills with each passing project. Hopefully, this course made it easier for you to understand the different concepts of web design and made you more comfortable at working in Figma. Thanks for enrolling in this course, and I wish you all the best in your upcoming web design and UI UX design journey.